Tonight on News 5 Live, a gruesome murder at Hannah's Paradise. Mexican national Gabriel Guzman Cruz was fatally attacked by a pair of siblings inside a property on the Placencia Peninsula. Opposition leader John Briceño says he will not apologize to the UDP government for his allegations that high-ranking government officials were involved in drug plane landings. Major crimes were down by 10%. Murders decreased by a little over 6%, according to the 2019 crime stats. And the Belize Tourism Industry Association launches the theme for its new publication of Destination Belize. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
Smart introduced.
morning. Welcome to News 5 Live for Wednesday, January 8th. I am Marlene Cuellar. One person is in custody tonight following a horrific murder in Seine Bight village on Tuesday afternoon. Police are looking for a minor and have recovered some items stolen in the robbery turned murder. A caretaker, Gabriel Guzman Cruz, was killed in a gruesome way at the property. He was cut on the face and body, and a mattress inside the property was set on fire. But the caretaker managed to get out and roll down the stairs where he was found. News 5's Seine Bight was down south today and spoke one-on-one with the person who found the dying man.
Mexican national Gabriel Alejandro Guzman Cruz, one of three caretakers on a property near the outskirts of Plasencia, met a hideous end on Tuesday afternoon when he was fatally attacked by a pair of men who savaged him inside this two-story building. The 46-year-old was here at Hannah's Paradise when he was visited by armed intruders. It wasn't until construction workers at an adjacent site noticed smoke billowing from the second floor that they realized something was amiss.
When I reached by the fence, I observed a guy rolling out of the house full of blood. He tried to get up, but he was weak. He rolled down the step. I went across, told him not to move, call 911. Then I came out, went to the roadside to get the police to come in to show them where the guy was.
The groundskeeper had rolled down a flight of stairs and was observed lying motionless on the landing below. Arriving on the scene moments later were two police officers who had responded to the call. Guzman Cruz was bleeding profusely from injuries sustained during the attack.
He was cut from ears to the mouth, through and through. His top jaw teeth and the bottom jaw teeth completely destroyed.
How were you alerted to what happened across from here? How did you become aware of something happening there?
Well, one of my co-workers, they went to haul some sand, and they hailed me and tell me smoke to come out of the house. And I never see the smoke, but at the same time, we see the guy, the roll, come out on the veranda.
He had been hacked viciously with a machete. Two large cut wounds were visible on the right side of the face. Guzman Cruz also had multiple stab wounds to the body, as well as his hands. In carrying out the ghastly assault, the perpetrators also set the room on fire by torching a mattress.
From what I have been briefed is that it might have been a case of robbery where the victim was at the home and two persons went there, I think a father and a son, or two brothers, and they stole certain things from the house. Then they inflicted machete wounds to the person who was within the home, who is now the victim or the deceased, after which they put him on a mattress and they lit the mattress fire. He apparently was not dead, and he managed to crawl out of the building before the fire took over the mattress, but I guess he used that last energy to crawl out of the building, and upon getting out he succumbed to his injuries.
At the scene, police were able to recover a machete and a pair of knives believed to have been the weapons used in the deadly encounter.
We have in custody one person at this time. We have recovered some of the items stolen from the house, and we're looking for a 15-year-old who we also believe can assist us with that investigation.
Are these persons foreigners or believed locals?
Foreigners.
Okay. Sir, what
the persons who committed the crime?
Yes, as well as the deceased.
On the strength of a search warrant, officers visited a residence in Seine Bight village where a number of items believed to have been stolen from Hannah's Paradise were found inside a room. Reporting for News 5, I am Seine Bight.
Attorney General Michael Parafit has threatened to sue the leader of the opposition, John Briceño, over comments Briceño made in his New Year's Day message. In his address, Briceño did not call names, but claimed that high-ranking government officials were involved in the numerous drug plane landings across the country, where the aircrafts are often found destroyed and the cargo long gone. Parafit says that Briceño's comments are slanderous and libelous unless he can produce proof. Parafit gave Briceño 24 hours to provide the proof or face a lawsuit. Today, Briceño told the media that if it is the wish of the Attorney General to sue, then so be it.
I think that's the right of the Attorney General if he believes that he would wish to sue me for my remarks. But the fact is that certainly as a citizen, I am very concerned about all of these drug planes landing in Belize. And it's worrisome that, you know, the plane, they land east and police go west, plane lands south, police go north, always in the wrong direction.
So the AG is saying, show me the proof, where's the proof?
My whole trust of my message was to be able to have people talking about it and to make sure that we know that there's something here and that it has to be addressed. And who is the people in charge? Not you or me, it's the UDP government. And they seem to be either unable to handle it or deliberately not wanting to handle it, or certain people are involved.
Do you have proof, sir?
I have said enough for right now.
He wants the proof, according to the AG. I mean, or take it to Interpol, the FBI, someone.
I'm not going to go into a back and forth. I think what is important for me more than anything else is for us to be able to understand that there is a clear and present danger when it comes to this issue, and that our government either seems unable to handle it or do not want to handle it or tackle it head on.
Aside from proof, the Attorney General is demanding that Briceño apologizes to the government, the United Democratic Party, and the country for the comments made. But that is not about to happen, according to Briceño. In terms of the lawsuit, while Briceño did not mention names, the AG says that this widens the scope of the lawsuit against the opposition leader. And unlike Briceño, Seine Bight, through his campaign page on Facebook, directly accused Briceño. Briceño states that instead, government should be saying that the landings need to stop.
The AG is demanding an apology. Would you apologize?
For what?
For the comments you made and allegations against the government and cabinet ministers.
As I said, for what?
Drug plane landing.
I don't see anything to apologize about.
He says, in terms of you not calling any specific names, he says that you are opening yourself wider because it can be him, it can be the Prime Minister, it can be anybody.
He would know if it is him or not. I think what is important is that obviously we hit a raw nerve, and that is why they're so concerned. I think that what they're supposed to be doing is to telling us this is a plan how we're going to stop planes, drug planes from landing in Belize. That is what we want to hear from him.
Seine Bight, the Prime Minister, on his Facebook page for his campaign, said that it is you who is landing these drug planes. I don't know if you read or saw that.
I'm not going to dignify Seine Bight with an answer.
It should be a no.
Sorry?
It should be a no.
You know better. You know better. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that I've never been involved in any such activity. Never did, never will in my life. And so I don't want to dignify Seine Bight with an answer.
In 2020, 5 justices of the Supreme Court will step down, including Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin. These justices will be reaching retirement age, and vacancies are being advertised for these posts. The Prime Minister is expected to meet with C.J. Benjamin in the near future to pave the way forward, since there is a possibility that the CJ may be asked to stay on the bench. Opposition leader John Briceño says the government is scrambling for replacements a little too late.
Again, it shows you the incompetence of the government. They knew this from last year. Now you're telling me now that when they're about to step down, they're going to be scrambling. You know, I mean, it makes you question, is that either they're so incompetent or there's some plan behind it that, you know, that the government, that's why they're going to leave it for last minute so that they could put whatever judges they may want. I don't know, but it makes you question. They should have addressed this issue from last year when they knew that it was coming. It is an incompetent and corrupt government that we're dealing with.
In early December 2019, the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry sent a letter to the government in which it requested documents related to the multi-million-dollar infrastructure contract worth $133 million awarded to Emer Hernandez for the Coastal Highway Upgrading Project. When asked about the request, Prime Minister Dean Barrow on December 20th said, quote, "And they will get their request fully and completely complied with. So I have spoken to the president of the chamber, but I believe that they might have already gotten the information that they asked for. There is nothing to hide," unquote. But the chamber has not received the documents requested. According to Attorney General Michael Perifit, the chamber did not properly invoke the Freedom of Information Act. Commenting on the matter today, Opposition Leader John Briceño said that if the Barrow administration has nothing to hide, then the chamber's request should be fully complied with.
Let's say it's a given that they quoted the wrong section of the act. The Attorney General and the Prime Minister know what is it that they are requesting. Why do they have to wait till they send another letter to cite the correct section of the act? Just give it to them. They're asking it for you. If you have nothing to hide, give it to them. As we say in Spanish, no, el que no debe no teme. But it seems that they have something to hide. Give the report, and not just give the sanitized version that they signed, give the bids, give the whole process that they went through for us to see what really happened. Because I spoke to a number of some of the people that were involved, and they were saying that it was very clear that no company was going to be given both contracts, that they only could get one. And here we have a company that has a contract on the George Rice Highway that is way behind, that with up to the end of October, after 8 months of work, has only done 24.6% of the work, according to the Ministry of Works, and now they only have 10 months to finish the balance. Now that very same company, and the first culvert that they built was caved in because it was badly built. Now that very same company was given not one contract, but both contracts. Please, man, there's a lot of questions, and maybe that is why the Prime Minister and the AG are afraid of giving all the documents. We not only want the contract, we have everything for me to see what really happened when the 2 contracts were awarded to one incompetent company.
Coming up, the police releases crime stats for 2019. They say crime went up in rural areas.
On Sunday, February 9th, UDP delegates
The final numbers are in for the crimes committed in 2019, and the Belize Police Department says that major crimes were down this year. In the murder category, there were 9 fewer than 2018. According to the department, most of the murders were committed with firearms and in rural locations. Commissioner Chester Williams says that they will be making some adjustments to their strategies and stepping up enforcement to curb crime this year. Today, the commissioner spoke with the media about last year's crimes. Reporter Andrea Polanco tells us more in the following story.
The Belize Police Department says that major crimes were down overall in 2019. The records, according to Commissioner of Police Chester Williams, show a decrease of 10% when compared to 2018. The murder numbers compiled by the police for 2019 show a total of 134 homicides committed, 9 fewer than 2018's murder count.
We do have a decrease compared to the previous 4 years. And we're seeing that the number one cause is alcohol consumption, followed by drugs, followed by gang-related, and then domestic violence. So those are the 4 main causes of murders for 2019.
The 2019 crime statistics also show that violent crimes, including murders, were more common in rural than in urban areas. Commissioner Williams says that this shift in geographic location means that they have to adjust their crime-fighting strategies.
We have also seen that the violence have shifted from the urban areas to rural areas. We're seeing now that a number of our murders for 2019 took place in rural communities as opposed to within the districts, within the towns and cities. Of course, it do pose a challenge to us, and we will now have to see how we can develop a strategy to be able to address the crime situation within the rural areas. And one of the things that we'll be using to address that will be the composite patrols. They'll be tasked to go into the different rural areas where the problems are more prevalent.
Notably, there were 17 or so fewer murders recorded in Belize District in 2019 when compared to 2018. Commissioner Williams says this decrease in murders committed in the city is the lowest in 4 years.
Belize City has the lowest murder count since 2015. So the officers in Belize City perform exceedingly well under the command of Assistant Commissioner of Police Mr. Dawson. While Belize City performed well, rural Belize District performance was very poor. In the Ladeville area, murders went up by over 100%. And so while there was a huge reduction in Belize City, Ladeville bite off a huge chunk of the reduction and brought Belize District numbers still down, but not as high as it would have been. I think at the end of the year, Belize District has a reduction of 17. That could have been far more than 17 had the performance in the rural area been a bit better. Belize District has an overall reduction in every category of crime that include murders and major crime in a whole. Belize City major crime went down by 134 compared to the same period last year. The gang activities for 2019 was very low compared to other years. And so while we are always ready to vilify the gang members, we're seeing that they are not the main contributing factor to our murder count this year. The murder count, the greater number is attributed to persons like me and you who would be, under normal circumstances, would have been seen or act reasonably, but after consuming alcohol, our behavior alters and we behave in a different manner.
What haven't changed are the types of weapons being used to commit these murders. Firearms were used to commit most of the homicides in 2019.
Additionally, we have also seen from the crime trend that of the total number of murders committed, 89 were committed with firearms, 19 with knives, and 17 with machete. So those are things, again, we have to focus on, especially when it comes to persons who are drinking and have with them pointed or edged tools or firearms. So that's another area we have to concentrate on for 2020 with a view to see how we can really and truly positively impact the crime rate for 2020.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
As you heard in the story, there were more murders committed in the rural parts of the country than in the urban settings for 2019. While the murders were down in Belize City, there was a 100% increase in other areas like Ladyville. But how did the rest of the country do? According to the police department, murders were up in the west and south, but overall, major crimes were down. Here's more from Commissioner Williams.
In the north, the northern region, the murder count remains the same compared to last year, they even off. Overall, the major crime went up in the north by, I think, 3%. In the west, the murder count went up by 6. But other crimes went down. So while the murder count is up in the west, the overall major crime picture is down. In the south, murder went up by 25% in the south, but other major crimes went down. So again, just like the west, the south have a reduction in an increase in murder, but the overall major crime is down.
And other crimes such as unlawful sexual intercourse were up, while robberies, burglaries, and theft decreased in 2019 when compared to 2018. Commissioner Chester Williams told the press today that crimes against women and children were also low for last year.
Sex crime is up, particularly unlawful sexual intercourse. I think those are up by 66%. But again, you will know those are things that occur within a home. And those are not things that the police can really and truly police. Rape is also up, I think, slightly. Burglary, robberies, theft are down.
What would you say the murders look like committed against women and children?
It is not as bad. It is extremely low. A very low percentage was against women and children. And for the most part, when we do have against women, it is within a domestic setting, under a domestic category. And so it is not as much as it were last year. It is down significantly.
Earlier, you heard the Commissioner of Police share that the 3 most commonly used weapons to commit murders in 2019 were firearms, knives, and machetes. Well, going into 2020, Compol says that his officers will be enforcing the EDGE tools legislation that is on the books. Here's how he explains it.
We have under the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act, the going equipped or possession of articulate blade. And under the Crime Control and Criminal Justice Act, we have possession of articulate blade. Once you're found with a knife or a machete that blades measures more than 3 inches between the hours of 8 p.m. and 5 a.m., then you can be charged for possession of an articulate blade.
And what does enforcement look like for that right now within the department?
Well, for the most part, I have been harping it to commanders to enforce, but we're not getting the enforcement at the level we would want to. And so my instructions today is to ensure that we put that at the forefront of our priorities in terms of going after persons who are consuming alcohol and are in possession of EDGE tools. We want to look at those who primarily hangs out in front of these shops or liquor establishments and consume alcohol, and right beside them have a bicycle with a machete on it or a knife in a scabbard on the side. We have to ensure we deal with those this year.
A former inmate of the Belize Central Prison successfully sued the prison for negligence after he was violently raped twice while behind bars. 43-year-old Kenroy Cook was arraigned and charged with 2 counts of unnatural act and 1 count of harm. The incident occurred on the 25th and 29th of November 2017. The victim filed a civil suit against the Colby Foundation, which manages the Belize Central Prison, on the basis that the prison's administration failed to provide safety and security after the first incident was recorded. Justice Shona Griffith ruled that the prison was negligent and was at fault in not protecting the inmate. Attorney for the claimant, Anthony Sylvester, recounted the facts of the case.
In the first instance, on the 25th of November, it occurred sometime after 1 or nearing 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, he was awoken by him being in a headlock, and subsequently he passed out. And when he actually woke up, he realized that he was in fact actually raped. He brought this to the attention of a prison officer. Later on in the morning, when there was a change of duty, and the prison officer, rather than bring it to the attention of the authorities, he in fact actually did nothing but merely gave the inmate, gave the claimant a couple ibuprofen. In court, the prison officer said that he gave him the ibuprofen, the painkillers, because the claimant said that he had a toothache. The judge did not believe that. The judge believed the claimant that in fact he explained to the prison officer that in fact yes, he was in pain, but certainly not a tooth, not by virtue of a toothache, but having been raped anally. And so the prison officer didn't do anything, and so he remained in that same cell, being housed with the same prisoner. And 4 or 5 days later, he was again, in the early morning, he was raped by this prisoner again. He was asleep and he was awoken, again being forcibly raped. At that time, he retaliated, and it was at this time that it was brought to the attention of everyone. And to the prison facilities and prison authorities' credit, the prison officer who the claimant had reported the incident to, he was fired summarily. He was terminated immediately. So clearly, and from that, we were able to establish as well that the claimant was in fact telling the truth when he said that he had informed the prison officer. And the judge, the learned trial judge, in her judgment, explained that she believed the claimant totally. She believed everything that the claimant had said.
According to Sylvester, there is still the matter of compensation. He must now, within weeks, make submissions detailing personal injuries on behalf of his client, after which the justice will make a ruling on how much damages the victim will be awarded.
The relevance or significance of this is that, as some persons may be unaware, the law has actually developed where the prison authorities, they have a duty of care, and that duty is placed on them to ensure that persons, inmates, that they are protected, and that fellow inmates who commit harm against them, and that harm is foreseeable, that harm is something that one could anticipate would occur, the prison authorities would in fact actually be liable. And so that in this specific instance, the claimant having been raped the first time, it is foreseeable, it would have been foreseeable that him remaining in that same cell with that same individual, that it was quite possible that that horrific incident would have been repeated, and in fact, unfortunately, regrettably, it was in fact repeated. And on that basis, the claimant was successful. So we are at this next stage now where the court will make an award as the relevant compensation or damages that is supposed to be given. Now, damages are usually given for the actual personal injuries that are sustained, and as well as whatever consequential distress, emotional, psychological distress, or other loss that may have been occasioned.
The Football Federation of Belize has responded to concerns raised by teams and clubs in the Belize district following a letter that went into circulation on Monday. The FFB is on record stating that an extraordinary Congress held by the Belize District Football Association on December 18th was not sanctioned by the organization, and that its secretariat was simply invited to invigilate the process at the Congress. At that special meeting, of the 14 teams and clubs that were registered under the 2011 statutes, only 4 were represented. The remaining 10 were deemed inactive or defunct. As a result, the Congress was called in order with the teams and clubs that were present, and removing the 10 that were absent. One additional club, Black Orchid FC, was added to the list, increasing the attendance to 5 Congress members. In reviewing the minutes of the 2019 Congress, it is noted that none of the teams that have endorsed the letter have been duly accepted as Congress members of the BFDA. While they have been invited to previous Congress and have been allowed to participate in competitions sanctioned by the association, the Congress never officially accepted them as members. The only team or club that was listed on the 2011 statute was Yabra FC, which was subsequently removed from the statutes at the Extraordinary Congress in December 2019. After the break, we'll have more from the leader of the opposition. Like the rest of the nation, opposition leader John Brisenia is patiently waiting for UDP Senator Alta Salazar to present his report regarding the Senate Special Select Committee's findings of the Auditor General's Special Audit Report on the Immigration and Nationality Department. It's been 2 years since the committee completed its work. Even with the assistance of attorney Andrea McSweeney, Senator Salazar has yet to produce the document. Brisenia, however, says that he expects that a sanitized version will be presented before the 2020 general elections.
It is 2 years Now that we're waiting for Senator Aldo Salazar to come up with that report, he even had an assistant, I think it was Attorney McSweeney, that was helping him to be able to put this thing together, but they have no interest. Remember in 2016, the Prime Minister said he did an internal audit on the Ministry of Lands with the $72 million that was paid out in compensation. We can't get it.
Well, he said it's the Auditor General who is responsible for producing that.
I think it's shameful for the Prime Minister to be putting the blame on the Auditor General. I think that she has done a superb job in trying to keep up.
Do you expect that the Senate report would be presented after elections?
I think they will try to present it before the elections because so that they could sanitize it as best as they can. Because if it is going to be done under our government, we're going to ensure that that the chips fall wherever they fall, and names, if names are going to be called, they will be called if they are allowed the new government to present that report.
On the topic of elections, the United Democratic Party will be holding its leadership convention in February. Patrick Faber and John Saldivar are going head-to-head to replace Prime Minister Dean Barrow as UDP leader. The victor will go against John Briceño. And rumors are swirling that elections may be called as early as April. Though unconfirmed, Briceño says that the opposition is battle-ready.
The Prime Minister has been giving mixed signals. At one time he's saying he's going to step down when the new leader is elected. At other times he's saying he's going to stay until the end and he's going to call elections. To us, it doesn't matter. We are getting prepared. We're working on our policies. We should be having most of our policies ready by the end of this month. We have been organizing, all the constituencies and getting battle ready. So if they want to have an early election, great for us. And if they want to have a late election, well, the models we just have to wait.
Is the PUP ready in terms of mobilization and financing?
Well, certainly we're ready with mobilization and financing. Like in everything, you work on that on a daily basis to ensure that we can have enough, not be able to match the UDP government. We will never be able to do that. But we are working and having certainly enough to be able to have our campaigners and to be able to have the necessary machinery to ensure that we have a victory when they call elections.
With general elections expected to be called at any time, opposition leader John Briceño is carefully monitoring a constitutional challenge brought before the Supreme Court by the Belize peace movement. The legal challenge is focused on the need for a redistricting exercise. The matter is currently before the Chief Justice, and Attorney General Michael Perrafeet has stated on record that the government has no plan to carry out the countrywide exercise before the next general elections. Briceño says that not enough time would be afforded for a proper redistricting before the next general elections.
Our concern is that I think that is something that should have been done some time ago, and to be able to try to do a redistricting right here 2 months, 3 months, 6 months before an election, I think it's a bit concerning. It worries us as to if we have enough time to be able to do a proper redistricting, and that is our major concern. But I'll be meeting with our deputy leaders along with our legal advisor. I think if not this week, certainly by Monday, for us to be able to take an official position on this matter.
When we come back, what's the status of the lucrative Toledo contract? We find out from the Attorney General. Every year at the ceremonial opening of the Supreme Court, the judiciary has always criticized the lack of resources set aside to carry out its functions. The perennial complaint is not without merit, as monies are allotted each fiscal year to other areas of government. According to Attorney General Michael Perry, despite repeated requests, government has to prioritize where it will expend from the public purse year on year.
Since I've been the Attorney General, every year we have submitted to the Ministry of Finance the maximum that we need, everything that we need from the judiciary, and not just from the judiciary, but from the AG's ministry on a whole, for vital stats, companies, Belize, and the general running of the ministry. We have always requested all that we need. In fairness to the Ministry of Finance, so does every other ministry. And while no aspect of any ministry is unimportant, priorities have to be set. And we understand totally the feeling by judges that maybe, for example, more should be allocated and everything, but we have to consider all aspects of the government. Several people want more pay. The crowns want more pay. Other public servants want more pay. Doctors want more pay. So we have to consider all of that before we make a decision concerning the budget. Does the judiciary deserve more resources allocated to it? Absolutely, it surely does. However, we're not flush with cash, so to speak. So we don't have unlimited resources for limited wants. We have unlimited wants for limited resources, and we have to prioritize. So not every department, not every ministry will get everything that they want, but we try to do our best to ensure that the most important things are dealt with at the very least.
The Belize Gaming Company took a serious hit last Sunday when the 4-digit jackpot and the winning single numbers 2020 saw Belizeans from across the country claiming their prizes. It was the biggest payout in the company's history, despite nearing the end of its contract with government for the Sunday lottery and Toledo draw. While there is an open tender for the upcoming contract, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Commerce is overseeing the process. Attorney General Michael Perry spoke briefly on how the course of action to determine who will be awarded the new contract is coming along.
Cabinet had made it very clear that the matter would indeed, like you said, go to tender. The Ministry of Trade and Industry would be the ministry that would be spearheading it. So I don't know, you would probably have to ask the minister how many people have applied or what interests have been expressed. But to this date, I'm not aware. I'm sure there would have been a deadline by when you could apply, and then the minister would bring all those applications to cabinet for a decision or whatever input we could give to the process. So, but I'm not aware of who all have applied and what the selection process will be. I don't know.
Julian Technical High School in Toledo District is still without a principal, several weeks after the interim period during which Dr. Kent Arzu acted in that capacity. Following a series of meetings, the school's board of directors is still unable to come up with an appointment, despite Arzu's eligibility. At a meeting last evening, Winston Duke Lopez was asked by the board to hold over as principal on a temporary basis. We understand that Lopez's qualifications are below those of Arzu and Dr. Simeon Koch. He holds a bachelor's degree in science. It has also been noted that Lopez has been absent from school for the better part of this academic calendar, reportedly due to illness. Coming up after the break, reef to rainforest, people to people, our green Belize. That's the theme for the upcoming Destination Belize magazine.
No trick.
with a global perspective.
Destination Belize, the go-to magazine for potential visitors to Belize, will be launched later this year. But today, the Belize Tourism Industry Association released a theme that intends to attract visitors to experience the unique attributes of the country, from the friendliness of the people to keeping the environment safe. Here is News 5's Dwayne Moody.
Reef to Rainforests, People to People, Our Green Belize was the theme selected and shared during a launch today for the 21st edition of Destination Belize. The magazine highlights all things Belize, from historical aspects to culture and the environment within the length and breadth of the country. Executive Director of the BTIA, John Brugger, says that the new edition will feature conservation efforts and a sustainable tourism destination.
As you know, the BTIA promotes the sustainable development of the tourism industry since its inception in 1985. So basically, we're going to be trying to capture what has been done from the inception of the BTIA and from the inception of the tourism industry. You look around us, we have a lot of marine reserves, we have a lot of forest reserves, we have a World Heritage Site that has been removed from the endangered list. We have a moratorium on offshore exploration. We have an initiative to banning gill nets. You know, there's a lot of success stories. You know, we have a world-renowned Jaguar Corridor Reserve. You know, these are the things that we need to showcase a little bit more. I think we don't give ourselves enough credit and we don't show that to the world.
The publication, which is available in print locally in Belize and is distributed by the Belize Tourism Board internationally, is also available online in English and Spanish. A team of Belizean and international writers, as well as a creative director, has joined the process for a second year and will be tasked with putting together the material that will be showcased in the upcoming magazine. This new magazine will be officially launched in early October.
For decades, it has been always managed, the management has always been outsourced. Since the 20th edition launched October 2018, BTIA has been managing the publication in-house. And now, so we are very proud of the 21st edition because for us, this is our second publication. The theme for the upcoming edition will celebrate Belize as a green destination, a destination passionate about its environment, its communities, and its visitors, making a positive impact on their trips. Through stories and vibrant images, this edition will focus on Belize's incredible offerings as a sustainable tourism escape. Beyond conserving our heritage and culture, we are passionate about nurturing and safekeeping our natural habitats and maintaining our communities and their way of life.
While looking at global tourism trends that travelers and tourists seek when planning their vacations, Burgess says that the snapshots and stories within the publication will appeal to the expectations of Belizeans and international visitors.
We have more conscious travelers, more travelers that are aware of the issues that are affecting our planet, our environment, our waters, our forests, deforestation, fires. I mean, you look at the news, you see all the negative, all the things that are happening, the real things that are happening. So the majority of the travelers are understanding and cognizant of those facts. So they're trying to look at, you know, where do I go where I'm not going to have that impact? Where is the new destination? And also it goes into with the experiential. Yeah. People want to get to know the people. You know, people don't understand how warm our people are, how unique our cultures are.
The 20th edition of Destination Belize is currently available at the BTIA and entry points at BTB kiosks, as well as online. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
There is a public plea that can make a difference in the quality of life of a 33-year-old man. Damien Alamina is suffering from a condition that causes hemorrhaging. He needs a transfusion of O-negative type blood. If you can help him, you are asked to head over to the blood bank adjacent to the Central Medical Lab in Belize City. News 5's Dwayne Moody spoke to Alamina today.
A Kikoko resident is in urgent need of assistance from the public to undergo a blood transfusion. This is the first step that is required before Damien Alamina can have a medical procedure to determine the nature of his condition. The 33-year-old has been losing a lot of blood when he has need to use the bathroom, and doctors have ruled out hemorrhoids. Alamina says that he's been living with the condition for over a decade.
I've had a bleeding problem since 2007. And I wasn't really sure of what it was at that time, but when I did go to the doctor a few years after that, they always thought it was hemorrhoids, but it seems a little bit worse than that.
Since January of 2019, Alamina's condition has seemingly worsened, and he was hospitalized on several occasions. Most recently, over the Christmas holidays, he was hospitalized because his hemoglobin level had dropped significantly. He was treated and released, but readmitted within days in early 2020.
My blood dropped to 3.3, and I had to be admitted to the hospital. Once I left, it was at 6.7, and just this December, it dropped down 3.4, and I had to go back to the hospital. It went up to 9 units of blood by the 28th, and by the 2nd of this year, January, it dropped to 7.6, and by the 4th of this month, it hit 5.4. Once my blood gets to about 5, I start to get a little bit weaker, sleep a little bit more, and I'm a little, weaker in terms of lifting things. Once it hits the 4s or 3s, then I can barely come out into the sun without getting weak or dizzy. Can't lift much, and I can't do as much work as I would normally be able to do.
So it has prevented you from working, from making an income?
Yes, sir.
So how are you surviving? Yeah.
I have some family that help, and I do have a little part-time job. It pays enough for me to eat and whatnot.
Compounding the issue is that Alamina has the rarest blood type, O negative. In fact, only 7% of the world's population carries this type of blood. And while genetically he is identified as a universal donor for all blood types, with his condition, Alamina can only receive blood from those with O negative. Today, he makes an appeal to donors of the same blood type to make their way over to the blood bank near the Carl Hirschner Memorial Hospital and donate a unit of blood in his name.
At the moment, they can't do anything unless I get blood donors to build my blood up to 8 or 9, preferably 9, because if I get the colon purge, I will be bleeding every time I go to the bathroom, and it should drop me by 1 unit. And if it's at 8, I can do the colonoscopy for them to figure out how and where I'm bleeding from, and then from there they can figure out how to stop it.
Dwayne Moody for News 5.
And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Marlene Cuellar. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, good night.